not very cool.
Oh, it will be cool.
Okay.
I insist. I don't want anything to do with it. It's not, man. Well, welcome. I hope you're enjoying your day and everything is good and whatnot. I hope you brought notebooks and to take notes on this. I think it's going to be very beneficial. Last time we talked about life laws and how they apply and can be applied to your life. Today we're going to talk about your code of honor. And we're only going to cover a few of these inside the code of honor, but I want to cover at least the beginnings of it, okay? Your code of honor, how you live your life, how you insist on living your life is very important. A lot of people have no idea what their code of honor is. A lot of people don't even take the opportunity to do some self-discovery and find out where their lines in the sand are. They kind of go by the seat of their pants. And what I'm going to tell you is this code of honor is my code of honor. It's what I use for myself. And I insist, as always, you question it, you put it to the test. If it's valuable to you and it will work for you, then apply it. But if it's not valuable to you and it's something that you feel like your way is good for you, then do that. Question absolutely everything that I say and everything that anybody says. Put it to the test for yourself. Okay? All right, so the first one, and I put it as number one because to me, this is the most important one. If you live by this one alone, you'll have a life like no other. And here it is. Your word is your law. Your word is your law. If you say it, do it. That means if you come across something, don't just put your word out there. Don't just say you're going to do something if you don't actually mean it. If you say you're going to do it unless God stops you. If you say it, do it. Everything that you say, make happen. Strive to always be honest in your words, your thoughts, and your actions. It is so crucial. What you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what you say. Words carry an incredible amount of power, and they have true meaning. You've got to be very clear about what you say. You've got to keep it real. If you say it, you do it, period. So be careful what you agree to. Be careful what you put your word on. In life, our word is all we have. Our reputation is all we have. If you have a reputation of not following through, people will not trust you. The minute you give your word, that word should be like a note you can take to the bank and spend like cash. If I say it, I am going to do it unless God stops me. So I've got to be careful. If I tell you that I'm going to do it, I will. But if I say I am going to do my best, then that's what I'll do, right? If you say, Raven, will you come pick me up tomorrow at 3 o'clock? And I say yes, I'm going to be there, and you will know it. But if I say maybe, then that also means maybe. I used to always tell my kids, my words have meaning. If I tell you There's one thing that's going to happen. Imagine if you had someone in your life that was like that. Anybody have anybody in their life that they can count on no matter what? Yeah. Where you know if they say it, they're going to do it no matter what. Yeah? Yeah? Me? Yeah. Yeah, I say it. I'm going to do it. No question. How about someone who has someone in their life that you can't really depend on? You're like, I'm going to take what they say with a grain of salt. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, they've got good intentions, but I'll believe it when I see it.
I just wanted to say that you are one of the people here that I can trust. That you're, of all people I have here, you have one of the highest levels of trust.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I've earned that.
Thanks.
Hopefully I've earned that from you. So, make it your mission in life, part of your code of honor, to do what you say and say what you do. Mean it with all your soul. Make sense? Your word is your law. The second one is always be your authentic self. You should always strive for personal realization. Too many people are not authentic. They're worried about what everybody else says. They're worried about what everybody else thinks. The interesting thing is, those people that you're worried about are worried about what you think. Everyone is so concerned about other people. We should be mostly concerned about being ourselves authentically, unapologetically, completely yourself. The person who is the most honest in the room about who they are, what they've done, is the most powerful person in the room. Imagine if you could be authentically yourself. You have nothing to hide, nothing that you're ashamed of. And if, by the way, if you make mistakes, you hold yourself accountable. But you own it. You own who you are. You are totally 100% authentic, and you know your truth. It doesn't matter if other people approve or not approve. It's not their life. It's not their journey. It's your journey. Imagine if that was the case. You're totally free. You can totally be you authentically. It's critical to uncover your true self. And it's a journey that we are all taking. Once you identify your purpose in life, because you know who you are, it's essential to embody it in all aspects of your life. Suppressing it or burying it will only lead to a slow and painful demise. I think about all the people that have a passion in life, but they don't follow it because they're so caught up in either what other people say or the idea that they can't be done, or the idea of all of these material things that they need to have in their lives in order to be happy. But the thing is that by suppressing it, we live a miserable existence. Failing to live out your true purpose is a disservice to your own humanity. Settling for anything less than what you were meant to do is a violation of natural laws. Now, it may take time for you to find your authentic self. That's okay. Once you do, the rewards are immense. Don't deny who you authentically are and what you authentically are put here to do. Make it part of your code of honor that you will always be authentically you. Express that honestly. And by the way, you may change directions from time to time. That's okay, because this is a journey of self-discovery. You're meant to go in different directions from time to time. It's all right. But don't be afraid to explore yourself completely. Find your truth and then live it. Live it to its fullest. Embracing your true self leads to a fulfilling and exciting life. Discovering your true self opens endless possibilities. By following this philosophy, you can absolutely live out your dreams. Why not? Why not you? Why not today? Honor code, or code of honor number 3. Think compassionately before emotionally. Think compassionately before aggressively. Use proper strategy and tactics and base it on wisdom, not raw emotion. When faced with a decision in life, it's absolutely critical to show compassion. And there may be instances where you react emotionally and aggressively to protect your ego. Did you know when we're upset about something, somebody hurts our feelings, somebody makes us angry, what has actually happened is someone has affected your ego. Big ego. They've affected your ego. And they say, no, you can't do this. And you're like, how dare they tell me that I can't do something? Or they may, I don't know, give me a scenario. Anybody give me something. Somebody give me something.
You're lifting weights and some guy who's never lifted a weight before tells you how to lift a weight.
Someone tells you how to do something that you're like, I've been doing this for a long time. That hurts your ego, right? What was yours?
I was just gonna say anything then.
Same type of thing. Somebody tells you, hey, by the way, I've been doing this for a week and you've been doing it for 27 years, but I know better than you do. And you're like, whoa, buddy. And now your ego is hurt, that type of thing.
If I go to your concert again and I'm just like, hey, bro, you should sing like this and stuff like this.
Yeah, somebody's like, Raven, you would sing better if you would sing like Kurt Cobain, And they're like, oh, okay. Now my ego's hurt. Like, oh, he doesn't think I sing as good as Kurt Cobain. So when you're upset about something, typically it's because your ego has been affected. I call it the ego monster. You know what I mean? It's these ego dragons, this ego evil thing that happens. And it's not pretty. And the problem is, once the ego gets involved, it only worsens the situation. It really does. But adding emotion to it, being upset because your ego, it's only adding fuel to the fire that intensifies the problem. It's a better idea when you're faced with dealing with a problem or a challenge in your life to take a moment and collect your thoughts and approach it with some compassion. It might be a good idea to consider the potential outcomes of fueling the fire versus using wisdom and compassion. By employing the proper strategies and tactics, one can navigate life's battles effectively. What it comes down to is the ability to foresee the consequences, both good and bad, in all of the situations. If you respond with your emotions because your ego has been affected, you will react. You will react. And reacting is always slower than acting.
Response. Action.
Action. We need to respond. Responding is different than reacting. You have to think about responding. You have to take a moment and go, what's the best move here? We can't play a game of chess and just react to every little thing that the opponent is doing, because we will lose that game of chess. We can't play a game of checkers and just go, oh, I'll just go move wherever I feel like, or the reaction, my first reaction. That's not the way things work. We have to respond to the other player's movements. We see them move their king, and we go, oh, no. We take a look at it. We look at the whole chessboard. We go, interesting. They move their king this way. Now, if I move my queen here, that might make them move their rook here, or I can move my knight here, and that may make this, and you start calculating all of the responses that your opponent is going to make. The consequences, if you will. Because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Every single thing that we do has an equal and opposite reaction. And we have to consider those responses. Don't we? Isn't it so? If we don't consider them, now we're going to what I call willy-nilly style. Willy-nilly style, you can quote that, willy-nilly. Willy-nilly style is by reacting, just spontaneously reacting to whatever. It's not the same as going with the flow. It is a emotional thing. Reacting. We want to avoid that. As a modern day samurai, as a modern day warrior sage, we want to use warriorship as an example. And a warrior doesn't react. He responds to everything in his life, his or her life. A warrior does things with intention, on purpose. Right down to eating. We eat on purpose. We move with purpose. And we respond. We don't react. There's a huge difference. Can you imagine reacting if you're a big business owner, and you've got to make a deal and somebody takes off your ego, and then you choose not to go with the deal just because your ego is a little bruised. You reacted to somebody's comment or whatever. Or your product isn't quite as good as this product. And you're like, oh, screw that guy. We're not doing business with him. And then you lost $1 million contract or something like that out of reacting. Or does a businessman go, I can think about when Dana White was having a beef with Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz at the time, I don't know if you know this, in the UFC, was one of the #1 guys in the UFC. In fact, he was one of the champions. There was all kinds of things. But Dana White, the owner of the UFC, had a beef with Tito Ortiz. Tito was saying bad things about Dana. Dana was saying bad things about Tito. And Dana could have removed Tito Ortiz from the UFC. But he didn't do that. Why do you think that was?
You would have lost opportunities.
You would have lost tons of money, right? Tito Ortiz had a lot of fans. It was a good business decision to put Tito Ortiz in the main event. Put Tito Ortiz and continue to promote him, which is exactly what he did. He didn't react because his ego was bruised. He responded and made the wise decision, which pushed the UFC to even bigger heights at the time, because back in those days, it wasn't quite as big as it is today, back in the days of Tito Ortiz. It was just starting to gain popularity. They just sort of became a sport. as opposed to the original UFC, where it was bare knuckle and there wasn't many rules and there wasn't weight classes and all that. Dana White came in and started changing that, trying to make it a legitimate sport, which now he has. But he could have stopped Tito Ortiz. Well, UFC probably still would have gone on, but it would have taken a different shape, probably, than the shape that it did take. So he responded. He didn't react. Very important distinction. It's a warrior. It's the way a warrior would do things. Does that make sense? Yeah. Number 4 is to view yourself as a force of good. You should always strive to maintain equilibrium and tranquility. Viewing yourself as a force for good. I was talking about my past about 25 years ago when I had my moment of awakening. 1999, 25 years ago, I was living in a trailer, miserable, as you guys, many of you already know from reading my book, The Journey. I was totally miserable, doing terrible things. I had a horrible upbringing, and there was so many things wrong with my life coming up. I was so angry, so pissed off. I was so frustrated. I mean, I would jump into the crowd and beat people up in the middle of the crowds, and I would bust beer bottles on my head, and I would do crazy things, and all this terrible stuff that I some of which I documented in the book, The Journey. But 1999 changed my life when I came back home from Atlantic City from a big concert. Decided to sit down and meditate, as I recommend 24 minutes of meditation every day. Sat down to meditate, and I had this moment of awakening, almost like the finger of the divine touched me right on my forehead, and all of a sudden I understood. And that understanding turned me into the man that you see today. From that point on, 25 years ago to now, I've been the same guy, almost exactly the same. And I went from being a force of evil, destruction, anger, frustration, hate, manipulation, to a force of good. In fact, the term samurai, I like to use modern day samurai. And one of the reasons why is because the very name suggests what we should all do. The word samurai, you know what it actually means?
I did at one point.
The word samurai means those who serve. Those who serve. Interesting, right? You think samurai warrior, you think this killer on a horse with a sword and armor. I think someone who serves. And what it signifies is that a commitment to the greater good is the most important. In today's world, one of the most impactful actions we can take is to spread happiness and unity. And one of the greatest things that you can do is to be of service to others. And the samurai knew that very well. With the abundance of hatred, pessimism, all prevalent in society, it's the duty of the modern day samurai to cultivate peace, to participate in service, to be a force of good. You know, the journey towards promoting peace and harmony commences within ourselves. By prioritizing and finding joy in your own life, identifying your own purpose in life, and then actively pursuing it, creating a life filled with excitement and fulfillment. Once you achieve that happiness, you will emit a sense of harmony and bliss that's infectious. After my moment in 1999, I was going to work at a music store, and people would come up to me and notice a significant difference because I went from one guy to the guy you see today like that. In one instance, bang, it changed. It was like the Big Bang moment. Maybe I'll start calling it. The Big Bang happened for me. Right then and there, boom, my world changed. Everyone noticed. I went from the person that was full of hate, anger, despair, wanted to burn down the world, to a person who genuinely feels compassion, love, happiness, peace. I've been happy for the past 25 years, unconditionally happy. And in 1999, right when that happened, I was living in a trailer, barely scraping by. I mean, I was a touring musician, you know what I mean? I was barely scraping by. I was a bar bouncer just to get into fights. I wanted to fight people because not just to test my skills, I wanted to fight people because I wanted to hurt people. Legitimately. I was angry. And in an instant, boom, I changed and people noticed. I started to emit harmony and the bliss that I felt. And it was, in fact, infectious. When you gain that, when you see yourself as a force for good, when you live that kind of way, a funny thing happens. Opportunities arise to spread that harmony and joy. People will want to be around you, just to be in your presence, because they feel this off of you. Just like people can feel the negativity, they can feel the anger, the hate, the frustration, the manipulation. You ever walked up to somebody who's like like a big time drug dealer or something like that, or maybe a guy who pimps prostitutes or something? There's a different kind of vibe. There's a different kind of energy. You know, people who run go-go clubs, I've met a lot of them. When I was in my day before 1999, they're a different type of person. It's a different type of vibe. No disrespect to those who are doing those careers or whatever, but there's a different kind of vibe coming off of someone who is spreading love, positivity, unity, happiness, blissfulness, excitement, fulfillment, than a person who's selling prostitution or drugs or alcohol or a negative message or mediocrity was even worse than all the others, I think. There's a difference in the energy. Haven't you felt it? How many of you have been around those people that emit this negative vibe? It's almost like, yeah, right? It almost like seeps off of them. You can almost smell it.
Drug dealers are cool.
No, you can almost smell it. You can almost see it oozing off of them. You can feel it when you're around them. Or someone who's so negative, they like suck your energy. You ever have that person in your life that you're around and you're like, oh God, not him again. Oh, I hate being around that guy. You know? We want to be just opposite of that. A true warrior is opposite of that. See, before 1999, I was a martial artist, all right. I did fighting, and I was a bar bouncer, and I did all that stuff, but I wasn't a true warrior. I wasn't a modern-day samurai yet. Modern-day samurai is selfless, actively in service, and views themselves as a force for good. you shifted your mindset to those 4 things that I talked about. Imagine if from now on, from this day forward, your word is your law. And whatever you say, they can take it to the bank. Imagine the trust and the relationships that could develop just from shifting that one thing to where your word means something. How powerful would that be? What if you were always your authentic self? What if you weren't scared of what other people thought about you? What if what you are is what you are, period? It doesn't matter what other people think, but you express yourself honestly. What if that was you? What if you were the person that thinks compassionately? Not aggressively, not emotionally, but compassionately. You control your emotions. You look at the big picture. You use strategy and tactics to calculate your movement. Oh, they don't always go as we plan because we can't control other people. But you're compassionate about it. You're willing to do it. And you're not attached to your ego so much. You can let go of the ego. The most we can. What if you're the person that viewed yourself as a force of good? And you're dedicated to service, to helping others. How would that open up your life? Just these 4 things, and there's plenty more in the honor code, the code of honor, but just these 4 little things can dramatically change your life if you apply them. So again, your word is your law, number 1. Always be your authentic self, number 2. Always think compassionately before emotionally, number 3. And number 4, view yourself as a force for good. And like I said in the beginning, test these out. See if they work for you. This is just my truth. But as a modern-day samurai, I am obligated to share it with you, to be of service to you, to help you if I can. Okay?
Yes.
Any thoughts, comments, questions?
No, sir.
No? Yes?